Hello and welcome to the Experience Pros Radio Show with Angel Tassi and Eric Raymer. Very nice to have you along with us today. We are here to remind you that small business is big business and your business is our business. And Angel is currently on a cruise liner.
I know. I saw that.
Right, hanging out in the middle of the ocean blue. And that means that we get to have Ann Hogan with Ann Hogan Consulting sitting in for her today. Ann, welcome.
Thank you, Eric. It's so much fun. Although I think, the cruise sounds pretty good.
The cruise sounds a lot better.
It's something pretty good right now.
So it's called Women Making Waves. And Angel actually was asked to be a speaker for this 5-day event like a year ago. And put it in her calendar immediately, said, yeah, absolutely, I'll be able to do that. There's a couple of things you need to know about Angel. She gets seasick.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could have went on the cruise
You could have taken her place.
I could have done that.
I offered.
I bet.
She said no.
But it's women on
making waves.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, just supporting her and helping her. And then in the last minute, guess who went with her? Her husband. It's supposed to be women making waves.
Well, he gets to come along and see all the waves they make.
He does.
Right?
I took them both to the airport this morning and was super excited to see Jay, her husband. It's his first cruise. Now he's sailed all across the oceans, but it's his first. Like
with a sail.
Yeah, with a sailboat. A big sailboat, but a sailboat nonetheless. And he piloted a ship from the Caribbean to somewhere in South America, I believe. And so that was kind of a cool little journey for him. He is a retired Navy. He was in the Navy for a couple of years. So, it's not his first time on the ocean, but first time in a big luxury ocean liner.
Yes.
And they're going to have a great time.
Yes. He will have a very great time.
And give us the 30,000 foot view. We're going to come back in a little bit later in the program and talk a little more about your business, but talk to us a little bit about Ann Hogan Consulting. What is it? What do you do? How do you do it? How long have you been doing it?
Well, I've been doing it. I've been doing human resources for 25 plus years.
You're the HR lady?
I'm the HR lady.
You're the nicest HR lady I have ever met. And I mean that.
It's the Grim Reaper is what HR is typically known as, right?
Right.
They're not known very nice. But so I've done HR 25 years.
So fresh out of kindergarten.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, I probably wasn't even born yet.
I would think so.
I was doing it before I was
born. My bad math. I apologize.
Yeah. So but 2 years ago, I opened my own business, Ann Hogan Consulting. I was very unique with the name. And what I do is provide training, consulting, and also I do a lot of speaking throughout the United States. So that's what it's there for. And it's help, because one thing that we do is we tend to not train our employees in the management skills they need.
So who do you train? Do you train the employees? Do you train the HR lady?
It can be either one.
Yeah, I always say HR lady because I don't know any HR men, but maybe there are some.
There's a few, not many.
So who are you focusing in on?
Focusing in on primarily their managers.
All right. Yeah. So making sure that we abide by all the rules, respect everyone down the line.
Exactly.
That stuff still gets done.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Yep. And we'll talk about that later.
Hey, we got Charles, listener Charles says, Angel left Eric in the snow. Thanks, Charles. I'll start calling you Chaz now. And then he calls me support staff.
There you go.
That's pretty much what I am. Just for the record, just remember who hired who. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the news. Of course, the shooting down in Texas is all everybody is talking about right now, and our hearts and prayers go out to the victims and their families. Obviously, the victims are gone, but the families, the people who were injured and made it. It's heartbreaking. And I was explaining to you during the mic. This is now the third mass shooting that we've had to have a conversation about. And while this program specializes in positive business talk, so we're not going to park the car here for a long time. We have to acknowledge the grief and the trauma that not just us, not just the people in Texas, but the world is going through. Yes. Because these things are, here in America, we still get shocked every single time. You got places around the world who this is a daily activity, that these mass shootings, these bombings, these terrorism and so on is a regular daily event in their communities and countries. Right. And, there's just, I don't know what to say about it. And, it breaks my heart. I wish there were some way that we could snap our fingers and say, can't we all just get along?
Right.
Rodney King's words echo in my heart, in this moment. But I want to deconstruct if we can. And I'll give you a little bit of credibility or background here. I spent the better part of 2 decades as a professional stage illusionist, a magician, and I toured all over America and all around the world. And one of the things that I did was I created the very first ever nationally standardized bullying prevention assemblies in the schools. It was called the Respect and Responsibility Show. And it was as I was in Kansas City, performing at a local church, when a police officer came out of the audience after the program and asked me if I had anything to do with bullying in the schools, any assemblies or anything like that. And I said, well, gosh, I've got an assembly called Magic with an Attitude.
Right.
And it talks about how our attitudes affect others. And he says, no. I mean, that might be part of it, but we got to talk specific to the topic of bullying. And the year was 1998, when we were having this conversation. And, America didn't know we had a problem.
And we have a huge problem.
Huge problem.
Huge problem.
We were and we can translate that into bullying in the workplace. I mean, as you know.
Yes.
But we were literally caught with our pants down. And here's how I know that, because I want to say it was like November of 1998. I was doing this program. Right. The gentleman said, can you create a program? And I said, absolutely. Send me some statistics. Within 12 hours, I received 750 pages of statistics, and not one of them came from the United States. It was from Sweden and from Canada. They knew they had a bullying problem. We were still fighting and losing the war on drugs.
Right.
So, and I mean no disrespect to this, but, Nancy Reagan and her Just Say No. And I had a program called Why Say No, because I didn't think just say no was enough. We're nearing the 21st century. We need to know why we should say no to drugs and alcohol.
Right.
But that was still, we were constantly behind the 8 ball on that one. And so we started creating this program, and we were scheduled for a launch in June of 1999. Mm-hmm. You know what happened in May of 1999? Columbine High School.
So
2 weeks before we were scheduled to launch our assembly, Columbine High School took place, and I called up the gentleman in Kansas, said, we can't launch this program. The country is just raw. And he says, we have to. There's people need to hear. People need to know what's going on. So later in the program, Ann, I want to deconstruct chaos, if you will, because that's what happens. Anytime somebody comes in and does these mass shootings or these terroristic things, it's designed for one thing and one thing only, and that is to purposely and intentionally disrupt and cause chaos. Right. But if we can break down chaos and figure out what to do as it unfolds, maybe, just maybe, we can work into a direction that might help. We're not going to be able to stop crazy, right?
No, but as in the next guest that's coming up, she's a clinical psychologist.
Right.
And maybe there's a way that we can see some of these signs in the workplace. I mean, people work with these people every day. maybe there's something that we can see that people need help.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to it. Way more than just taking guns out of the hands of the people who lawfully have them.
There's a lot to this discussion. A lot.
Folks, we will be back right after these messages. Ann Hogan, Eric Raymer. This is the Experience Pros Radio Network. For the archives of this broadcast and every broadcast that we do, just check out experiencepros.com. Click on the radio button, and there they are. Back after this.
You're listening to the Experience Pros Radio Show, America's home for positive business talk.